Hey guys, how you doing? This is GG, and we're going to do a short video. Central banks are buying gold, and Jehovah is silent because you know how we are. We do the Jehovah's Witness side of things. Why is Jehovah's Witness? Why are they silent about what is happening right now in the news? I'm sure you've seen this in the news. Share screen, central banks. So when you go here, central banks increased gold reserves by over 1,000 tons 12 days ago. Why central banks are hungry for gold? And boom, boom, boom. That's all you see in the news. And Watchtower, Jehovah's organization here on earth, is not preparing its citizens of a war that is going on right now. We are in the middle of a war that's being played in the back behind the scenes. And this is why I say all the time, I don't have the picture. Maybe I do. But this is why I say that the governing body is derelict of duty. Let me see if I have it. You've seen me say it many times. Yeah, there it is. Show the screen. You would think that a religious organization would educate its members and prepare them about what is happening, but instead, there's nothing. Complete silence, dereliction of duty. So let me remove that. And I want to show you before we go in and explain. I'm going to share a screen. Trump signs executive order to create the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Take a listen to what he has to say here with his new Treasury Secretary.
Yes, sir. This is very exciting. We're going to stand this thing up within the next 12 months. We're going to monetize the asset side of the U.S. balance sheet for the American people. We're going to put the assets to work. And I think it's going to be very exciting. We're going to study best practices that's done around the world. It'll be a combination of liquid assets that we have in this country as we work to bring them out for the American people.
The extraordinary size and scale of the U.S. government and the business it does with companies should create value for American citizens.
That's true. So remember, Jesus says if you don't do illustrations, people don't understand. So we all know it's not a hidden secret that we're bankrupt. Jehovah should be telling it's, and they should be the front runner, right? You would think that they're the organization here on earth. So we're bankrupt, close to $40 trillion in debt. Now, here, let me help you understand. Let's say you have a big company, and you are in debt, and the writing is on the wall that you need to reorganize, go to bankruptcy, not complete debt, but you need to reorganize. And so you hire the best accountants, and the best accountants come, the lawyers come, and they start going through your files. That's what Donald Trump did. He's bringing in the very best people and say, hey, you know what, we're in a lot of trouble. And the writing on the wall is that, if you guys look at it, Basel III and a couple of other things in Switzerland and with the BRICS nation, there's a lot of reorganizing going on. And it all points that everybody wants to destroy America and the US dollar. And then they want to go in and take over was it order out of chaos. Donald Trump knows this. So he goes to the asset side. So let's go back to the illustration. You're bankrupt, you're losing all kinds of money, and you need a lifeline. So then an accountant comes to you and a lawyer says, hey, in the balance sheet, you say that you have $1,000 in a savings account, but we looked in that, in the line, and there's nowhere in the books that you have $1,000 in a savings account. We found everything else. We just haven't found this $1,000. And then you're like, oh, okay. You open up your desk, a drawer, and then you pull out a little hard drive with a piece of paper. And you say, yeah, here's $1,000. They go, what is it? Well, a long time ago, I went to a convention with a friend, and I gave him $1,000, and he put Bitcoin in, or he put some kind of crypto thing in this hard drive. And he called it my personal wallet. What do I know? So because it's in a personal wallet, it never went to a wallet like the Sam Bankman-Fried, where he would say, I will take care of your Bitcoin. I'll be the magnanimous holder of your Bitcoin. So You have it here. And then so the accountants and the lawyers open it up. They, holy shit. You have 1,000 Bitcoins that you bought at $1. And now the Bitcoin is at 100,000. So you have $1,100,000. Well, guess what? You're not bankrupt anymore, are you? You went from being bankrupt and maybe having to sell or being, tossed out, and your wife wants to divorce you. And now your wife's saying, maybe I want to stick around. And so that's what's happening. Gold is at $42 an ounce, according to the asset side of the United States Treasury and the United States Federal Reserve balance sheets. And here's the thing. So the United States Federal Reserve, check this out. I'm going to show you something. This is where it gets really interesting. And this is where Jehovah's not educating you. The United States government, the Treasury, says, we have this much gold in Fort Knox or wherever. But the Federal Reserve says we have it too. So now the debate is, who owns this gold? Does the Federal Reserve own this gold? Or does Donald Trump and the Treasury own this gold? Well, where is it at? Is it in the vaults of the Treasury, or is it in the vaults of the Federal Reserve? Now, this is where it gets very interesting, where Jehovah is not educating its people. They're setting you up for failure. And let me present this. We've all seen this. It's a very short clip. And this is what he says.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it. So what's happening is the banks are all bankrupt. The central banks are bankrupt. The Federal Reserve is bankrupt, you could say, and others. And so what they're doing is they're saying, hey, listen, we're all going to buy our gold because, as I showed you on the news. And then when it gets revalued, which doesn't make sense because gold never gets revalued. The actual paper that we have, it gets revalued. But gold is always constant. But here's the point. Here's the point. So when that happens, when they say, guess what? Gold is not $42 an ounce. It's $20,000 an ounce. And Donald Trump says, you know what? We are not going to pay the Federal Reserve the money that we owe you. And we're not going to pay the central banks over here the money owe you. Why? Because you guys are criminals. And then the debt. So this is where the war is. The war now is with nation states like Russia, China, the BRICS nation, and also the United States. And this has, if I was leading the Watchtower, I would be saying, this sounds like Babylon the Great to me. She's the whore, but I'm not saying it is, but I would be educating. But you see, they're part of a club. And Watchtower is always quoting the United Nations. Their Bible says the New World. They don't want to educate you and letting you know, because they don't want you part of that club. A godly person will say, hey, listen, I think it's Proverbs where it says, that you see the storm coming, and then you're going to make preparations so you can avoid the damage of the storm. And so a good religion will say, hey, listen, there's a war going on right now between the banks. We see it in the news, and the governments. And there's a play going on. And the fight is going to happen pretty soon. So what can you do? Well, this happened to my family in Mexico in the 1990s when they chopped off, was it 2 or 3 zeros? Imagine you have $1,000 in the bank, and then you go back January 2nd, and they say, guess what? You only have 1 new peso. The 1,000 old pesos are gone. Here's 1 new peso. But that's only half the problem. The other problem is next month, come February, March, April, the bank says, guess what? That mortgage that you have, we are going to reassess it, revalue it, because the banks are now going to say, well, we can't sit on this loan that we gave you with old money. We need to revalue this with new money. So this is where it's very important where Jehovah is derelict of duty. Because if that were to happen, you can actually convert in a crash when the revaluation takes place. And we've all seen the crashes in our lifetime. What makes you think it's not going to happen? Then what happens is you get that gold and you get that silver, platinum, palladium, oil reserves. These are all assets, right? We don't have oil reserves, but let's say you're sitting on land, and that land you have rights to mineral rights, right? So that's that. So what you do is you convert it and you pay off your debts. You do it quickly. So that way, when they're over here trying to revalue your debt, you're like, no, hey, dude, I don't owe you anything. So it's like a seesaw. So I'll give you an example. Right now, gold is at $3,000 an ounce. But for some strange reason, silver continues at about $30 to $40. So check this out. If I were Jehovah's organization here on earth, I would be telling you, listen, if you have $4,000, if you have $4,000 in cash, and you've had $4,000 in cash in the bank for the last 2-3 years, you know it's going to be there. Why don't you buy 100 ounces of silver? So you have 100 ounces of silver, and then you took your cash and you have it now silver. So when this crash happens, and let's say silver goes to $100, so now you have 100 at 100. So yeah, you have $10,000, right? Yeah, $10,000. So then what you get, I think I did the math right. So yeah, 100 ounces going to $10,000. So what happens is now you have that $4,000, and now it changed to $10,000 or $20,000, depending on, and then you pay off your debt. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you have $40,000 in debt, or $50,000, but you have cash. Well, let's say you think, well, I'm gonna divide that by 100. This is the amount of silver coins I want to buy. And so it's like a seesaw. You hedge your debt to, and your assets. So you know that what's going to happen. And so you're able to weather the storm. This is what religious leaders should be telling you, that since the beginning of time, these bankers are always screwing you. They're always taking advantage of you. And they're always telling you what let me look it up. What King Solomon said. Let me show you real quick. Let's go to, this is what the religions don't do. They should be teaching you the words of Proverbs. So let me go to StreamYard. Let's hit share screen, Bible Gateway. Check this out. It says, what? Contemporary English version? No. I'm like, what the heck? Let's go to a real King James version. Okay, so we go to one right here. It says, my son, if sinners bankers entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, come with us, and let's wait for blood, let us lurk privily for the innocent without cause. Let us try to screw people over. Let us shallow them up alive as the grave and the hole, and they go down the pit. We shall find all precious substance. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast thy lot among us. Put everything in the same pot, and let us have one purse. Let's all put our money in the 401k. Let's all put our money in the pension. Let's all put our money in our purse, and we'll be fine. And we're going to take advantage of everybody else. But the truth is, we're not going to be fine, because you put your hard work and you put it in somebody else's purse. And this is what the religions are not doing. They're setting you up for failure. And what Donald Trump is trying to warn you by telling you, hey, we are going to monetize the asset value. And look at the assets that we have: gold, silver, palladium, platinum, oil reserves, land reserves. Look at the assets that the United States government has, and what assets do you have? And prepare yourself, because we are in the middle of a war. And again, Watchtower, by the cover of their Bible, the New World Translation, has shown that they're part of that club. They're not part of your club. Have you noticed how if you go to jw.org right now, they're quoting the United Nations and that Tedros guy? But you know who they're not quoting? They're not quoting all of the people who are warning you, the financial experts that are warning you. Guys, this has happened over and over and over. It happened in Mexico. It happened in every country in Europe. The Weimar Republic. It's happened even in our country. What's happening right now is the same thing that happened with Kennedy when they shot and killed him, because the $5 bill was a United States Treasury bill. It was not a Federal Reserve. He was bypassing. He was saying, I don't need you. Same thing with Lincoln, with the greenbacks. So you start learning these stories and you're like, oh my God, King Solomon was right. There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new. And right now in 2025, we are living in a war. And it's between the central bankers, the Switzerland, the Rothschilds, the Bank of England, and the United States. So if you go back to the news that happened January, right before Donald Trump became president, and Donald Trump was already president, even though by action, because he was moving, people are saying, well, how did all this gold leave London to the United States? Dude, it was the freaking president of the United States, and they're positioning themselves because what's happening is all of these people were saying, hey, put the gold over here. I'll take care of it and I'll be a good steward. Bullshit. Bullshit. And that's what's happening right now. All of these countries and banks are positioning themselves. But while they position themselves and they warn each other, the club, you're not in it and you're not being warned. Thank God YouTube and other places, a lot of people are telling the story. But my whole point with this video is that Watchtower, Jehovah's organization here on earth, bullshit, is not putting you up to speed. It's not preparing you for what's to come ahead. Now, I'm not saying that this is a moment to get rich, but this information helps you stay alive. It helps you prosper. It helps you avoid the calamity. And everything that we're seeing in the news and everything that you see on jw.org just goes again to show you have to leave this organization. Everything they do is set you up for failure. And I was talking to my brother Jesse about this, and I'll end it with this. Watch like this thing about the gold. And we talk about the Jews and the gold, the jewelers. Well, yeah, of course they're jewelers. Let me tell you why. Because you have an old man and he's a Jew and he has a child and a grandchild, and he makes them work with him. And he goes, look, son, we have a gold coin and I'm going to chop it up into 4 pieces and I'm going to make 4 rings. And I'm going to sell the rings and I'm going to keep a good profit margin off the gold ring. And the same thing with the silver and stuff like that. And so he teaches his son how to do it, and his son teaches his grandson how to do it. So you have all of these Jewish people that they know how to make gold rings, they know how to make diamonds. And how do they do it? Because instead of going to the Kingdom Hall, they went to go work with dad. And this is I was telling my brother Jesse, this is the problem with the Jehovah's Witnesses. All of you Jehovah's Witness women, you take your child to the Kingdom Hall when they should be with their dad. I've seen it with my own eyes where men have taco stands. We're Mexican. We don't have gold. We have taco stands. And so he has all of his children working in the taco stand. And then his children end up getting other taco stands in restaurants. And then the grandchildren. And guess what? Before you know it, that one old Mexican with a taco stand, his grandchildren turned it into a franchise. And we hear stories like this over and over again. Why? Because they didn't go to the Kingdom Hall. You see, the Watchtower sets you up for failure because they separate you from your dad. And you and your dad should always be together working. And by doing that, they steal the wealth because instead of you making money as a family, they get the son and they say, listen, son, boy, don't work with your dad. Come work with Jehovah here in New York. Work for free and give it to Jehovah instead of working with your dad and opening up a taco stand, a jewelry store, a convenience store. No. Watchtower sets you up for failure. They're part of the club and they're derelict of duty. They, instead of doing their job as Christian ministers, they're demonic in every sense of the word. They take and take instead of empower people. Jesus was always empowering the individual to better himself. Watchtower steals the children and robs you of the money. And that's what's happening right now. The robbing of the money right now in 2025, what you're looking at in the news, is the greatest transfer of wealth in human history. Imagine all of those people that own 401ks, pensions, all that stuff. Just like Solomon said, they're all going to get screwed. And they don't have access to the pot. They think they do, but they don't. So that's the news. It's 20 minutes. And I hope you guys liked the video. And I hope you understood the point I'm trying to make is just educate yourself, and leave Watchtower. They're setting you up for failure. And Jehovah is derelict of duty. Their God, Jehovah, with a capital J, it doesn't exist. Well, it does exist, but it's not what you think it is, because he's setting you up for failure. So, guys, if you guys have any questions, don't ask me. Just type in those questions on YouTube. You'll see great people who are professionals. And I tell my brother Jesse, they're apostates, because these people are not allowed to be on Fox News. They're not allowed to be on Fox Business, MSNBC. They're apostates in the when it comes to gold, silver, palladium, oil futures. I mean, oil reserves, all kinds. Property rights. They're never allowed to be on Fox News. There's a whole bunch of them, and they're reputable people. Some of them have made millions and billions of dollars. Pierre Lassonde. I'll give you an example. Pierre Lassonde. If anybody knows anything about gold, you know Pierre Lassonde. But that guy's never on Fox News. He's always on YouTube with all the apostates that are not allowed on Fox News, Fox Business. And if they're not allowed on Fox Business, you don't think they're going to be allowed on CNN and everybody else. So the point I'm trying to make is, just like we have Jehovah's Witness apostates, believe me, there's apostates in the financial world. And those are the ones that you should be listening to. And thank God they're right here on YouTube, and you can find them for yourself. All right, guys, that's it. Hopefully we'll do another video maybe tonight. Let's see if I can get my brother. He's been working a lot of hours, but he wants to do a video about the one that I told you we were going to do. I hope you liked this video. I hope it was educational, and I hope you understood what's happening. And remember, silver is only $40 an ounce. It would make a lot of sense for you to just buy it and keep it in your possession, and tie it to your debt. You don't need to have a lot, but just say, I got this much debt. I need this much silver at $100, $150 an ounce. So that's how many ounces you need. All right, I'll let you go, and see you on the next stream.